Welcome to Nerd Wars. La, 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 la. Hey everybody, Andy here. So happy to be with you tonight on Thursday. Yeah, there's like something else going on all over the news, but we're going to try to ignore all that. Have a nice distraction for the next, I don't know, couple hours or so. So we're going to have some nerd fights, and then we'll just geek out, talk about stuff. You guys can always pivot this conversation with your support through the links that the mods will be sharing. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching this new fight. We got a fun one. I'm going to get in the ring. We got 3 more joining. Let's introduce today's fighters and today's topics. Guys, are you ready? There they are. We got Damien back. What up, Damien?
What's up, Andy?
So good to have you back.
Last time, man.
Good to have you. Now, you're officially here for your first round here on the show, which is a good deal because you've done the show, but now we've started a new season. Oh, I'm turning my lights on. We've started a new season, and you're here to fight. How are you feeling?
Oh, now I'm feeling more pumped. New season, new records. Is that how it goes?
New records, new season. So far, you're actually you're 0-0. So tonight you could either help your record or hurt it. We'll see. Adon's already hurt his record, right? Adon is
Yes.
back. We shall see. What is your record?
I've
Do you know?
stood up with a target and taken a lot of blows.
What's your record now? Have we kept it? Have you won one yet on the new rounds?
In a middle round, but I didn't finish the night.
He's like, I don't want to say, Andy.
I got none. Doesn't count.
Well, you got a chance to earn a point today. And then making his debut from Rogue Comics out there in Ohio, it is Mike. Oh, not Ohio. It's Connecticut. Sorry,
Yes.
Connecticut, Ohio. I got too many other states on my brain over John King's chart.
We're not a swing state. We're
Sorry,
regular.
Connecticut. From Connecticut Rogue Comics. Mike's in the building. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Andy?
Happy to have you. All right, so this should be fun. And Steph will be quietly, because she can't talk loud, but she's here. She'll be quietly helping put out some polls, and if we need something whispered, she will be here. But I will be your fourth fighter to get in there, and we'll take this out. All right, so we got some...
Andy.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I just
go ahead.
have one thing to say.
Yeah, please.
I claim this nerd war, and if there are any results other than me winning, they're a fraud. Just let you know.
Oh, we said no politics. All right.
That down
you're not. That's not anything to do with politics. That's you just making your own crazy statement. But yeah, don't trigger me. Don't go there. This is a distraction. I want to do before we get to anything though. I want to plug something quickly. I think I make sure I had the link up here, guys. If you aren't yet a member, you should be, and if you are. You get to join over on the community tab. You guys can be the first to see Damien's new film, The Other Side, the full short film. Now just went up for members only. Fantastic, like 13-minute film that you guys can go watch over there as members. I know some of you started to watch it. Make sure you send it Damien your love and tell him how great it is. But what an awesome perk. So generous of Damien to put it over there for our members to enjoy. So if you're not yet a member, you get to go watch The Janitor. You get to go watch that. And more stuff is coming to the members only exclusives, as well as Nerd Warriors get to come in here and fight. So lots of opportunities. So make sure you go subscribe. You go support. You do that by. Do I have it here? Yeah, look at this. Oh, I'm so prepared. Woo! Join. Hit that join button and all these perks and emojis. You can use the yay, the sus, the human toe. All those things will work. So go check it out. And thank you. The Other Side is over there if you guys watched it or watch it. When we do finish our first Nerd Wars, it'll be about a 45-minute show. Then we can come back and talk about it a little bit. But in the meanwhile, let's get to the show. All right, so enough chitter-chatter. Let's get to these first fights. Oh, all right. Robert just added a good question. I was just about to pitch you guys. Steph, if you want to add Robert's pitch, who would win, Wonder Woman or Stormbreaker Thor? That can be round into our potential third round if you want to add it there. But the way the show works, we got our first 2 rounds set. The third round will be something you guys get to vote on, and it'll be a blind round. We'll have to jump on it. The 2 winners of round 1 and round 2 will tackle round 3. The winner of that earns the point and a new stat here on Nerd Wars. All right, so awesome. So guys, send them over. We will get to them. You did that. If we don't get to on the show officially, we'll talk about it at the end, Robert. So keep those coming in. And if you want to help judge the round, you can send your super chats and Streamlabs donations over throughout the show, and I'll make sure to incorporate them before each round is over. So that's how we do this. All right, so first round is the title round. James Bond, Lashana Lynch is going to be playing 007. Now, I actually fought this with Jody last night on Change My Mind. I think he had to put it behind the paywall because it got it got a little heated. But I've had a little experience on it, so now I'm okay doing it again. But she's talking about her backlash of playing 007, this revolutionary casting. I was trying to find one with a picture of her, but that one I clicked didn't have one. Here we go. There she is. There's Lashana Lynch. And so she's from Captain Marvel, and she's going to be in No Time to Die, and she will be replacing James Bond's famous number, the 007. Should this be happening? That's going to be our first round, and I'm going to take this on. I'm going to be saying yes. Who's taking against me? Who's saying no? Adon?
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
All right, Adon. You ready to do this, Adon? You and me are going to go head-to-head. Damien, Mike, Steph, if you don't mind, turn off your cameras. You will disappear from here so I can get just me and Adon on screen, and we will get to our first fight of the evening. In fact, also, I'm going to make sure I put up the timer here so you guys can all see it. Here we go. I'm going to add a 10-minute clock, which will start us, which will be here. I'll cut to it sometimes throughout the show. I got to figure out a way to put that on screen. I'll get there eventually. But that way you guys can at least see it. As you guys all see that shared screen, right? Adon, you can see the timer?
Yeah.
Okay, on your Zoom. Cool. So that way you know how much time is left. All right, you guys ready to do this? So the question again, should Lashana Lynch should she play 007? Now, to be clear, she's not taking over James Bond. She's not going to be coming out and be, hey, I'm Bond, James Bond, or Jane Bond. No, she's taking over his number, the deadly number agent of 007. Should she be doing that? Are we okay with that? Is she the one to do it, et cetera, et cetera? Let's get to this. All right, the timer is going to start. You want to start, or do you want me to start it, Don?
I'll let you start.
Okay, great. Here we go, and time starts now. Let's do Nerd Wars Round 1. Boom. All right, clock is starting. Here we go. All right, listen. I got to be honest. I like James Bond. I like, actually, Daniel Craig a lot. Casino Royale became one of my favorite James Bond movies. And I like Skyfall, and I haven't really liked a lot of the other new ones. So I've liked the idea of this new version, but at the same time, I've also liked, here's some of Pierce Brosnan's. GoldenEye is fantastic. Sean Connery, amazing. Goldfinger. There's always been some classics for each Bond, I think, and it's gone through. And we've had some cool shows, some cool movies based off of the various actors. At this point, I feel like Daniel Craig's lost interest. I'm losing interest. I kind of want them to do I want them to reinvent something anyway, and I just don't personally care about the number. Now, if they were going to replace James Bond and say, oh yeah, this is the new Bond and it's a lady, or that would be weird to me. In fact, that was already so weird. Barbara Broccoli and the producers already said, James Bond will never be a woman. We're not going to change. James Bond is a man, but it can be any color man. There's no reigning race. We don't care about that, but James Bond is a man. And that I agree with. The character of James Bond's like a womanizer. There's a lot of weird things that it just wouldn't be the character. Come up with a new character. So the number, who cares if he has a number? She's going to be in this movie. James Bond dies or is replaced. She comes in as 007. I think it's a cool dynamic to have James Bond, Daniel Craig, have to go up and see that his now moniker, his number, has been taken over by this woman. That makes things a lot more interesting to me because she's gonna have to play back and forth. She's gonna have to be tough. That's something that Bond's not used to. I like when they give him a challenge. So for me, it's a non-starter. Let's see the movie. Let's see how it plays out. Who cares? Adon, your turn.
Okay, so listen, you made it a very good point of saying that these are Bond movies. Thank you for that, because these are exactly it. They're James Bond movies, and you don't have James Bond without that 007 on it. He is part and partial who he is, what he is, and what those movies are about. So you're going to be taking away the very aspect that is James Bond that we go watch. Now you're going to try and refocus those movies onto new stories with a new James Bond as a female character. I don't think that's going to work. I don't really think that's going to work. James Bond, 007's character, is a character that we all watch for the James Bond character itself. No one watches it for the title that he's a spy. They watch it for James Bond. So now we're going to be going into a new female character who, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to be a completely different character, different take. We don't know that she's going to be the just like Bond is a womanizer, or what's the opposite of a womanizer? Male-mizer? Exactly. There's not even a word for it. I'm just saying that it just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not going to go watch a James Bond movie or a 007 movie now and not have that line, Bond, James Bond. I'm going to have, what's your name? Know me. Or me, know me. And that's going to be the movie. It doesn't work for me. And I'm keeping it short and simple because of that. Go ahead.
But you see, I disagree with you already because you're making it about she's not James Bond, right? It's not to win on semantics here.
She's not.
She's not James Bond. She's 007. So she's going to go into a movie, and I don't even know the character's name. I should figure that out, but we don't know yet. I haven't seen it.
Naomi.
It's Naomi. Okay, you're right. Sorry. So hey Naomi, whatever. Maybe she decides to not use the James Bond line. Look, not to lose all my votes, but why do you keep telling people your name? Aren't you a spy? Shouldn't you use like different names? Shouldn't you maybe not reveal your name first
so
out the
badass. He's
yeah,
like,
I don't know. It makes him seem a little too cocky for me, but I hear you. All right, valid. I know that's why people like him because he's got the charisma, right? But this isn't James Bond. 007 is a spy agent, and a spy agent can be anybody. And why does it matter? Yeah, is there pandering in this movie? Sure. I could argue that there's some pandering in this movie. I could see why people would say, "Oh, of course, they're hiring this new. She's a great actress, but she's sort of in the know now. Let's get a black actress in here. That'll be even more interesting, and that's what people want to see." Sure, I could see why some people think that's what's happening. I just don't care if the movie is good, if the character's good, great. And I don't understand why a woman, especially, can't surpass James Bond to be the deadliest agent of 007.
You made a point of like, what if like the character of James Bond handing over the mantle and he dies in the story? Does that not kill the franchise? Does that not kill like the ability to sequel out? Because really, like we all said, we know 26 now going on 27 films of James Bond. It's called. You can buy the collection, and it's called a James Bond collection, not a 007 collection. So does that not kill it for you?
No, because she's now the 007 collector. It's sort of a smart way to have somebody else in there, and they could do more movies. Now, let's be clear. They're not making a new movie here with her, right? Let's be clear. I don't know if they're doing that, and I'm not arguing that. But can the double agent of 007 be Lashana Lynch? Sure. I still don't hear why you're telling me she can't. Why can't she be 007? She's not James Bond. They could still make a James Bond character. A James Bond could come in and replace him. They could do a whole new movie with Idris Elba, but start this, and then maybe do a spin-off with her or something else that's not maybe 007 or James Bond. Who cares? If she's good, if the movie's good, why can't a female lead take over as a badass agent?
And well, here's the other point. Is like, if she's good, like if you're looking at, this is going to be a big break for her. We all agree about that because her film repertoire beforehand is, I looked at it, it's next to none in comparison. It was all TV, and then she got Captain Marvel, which was all, like 20 minutes, if tops, in that movie.
Yeah, she's not a very big part of it. That's fair.
Exactly, not a very big part. And then this is a huge part to be breaking out into. Versus, like, anybody else that could have been out there, that could have been selected. So this is a big opening role. It makes me feel scared that, like, someone's going to be trying to jump into a role like that, and they have to represent a title that's gonna be badass. It's not just a spy. There is a spy that is a badass spy that's smooth and cool and awesome. You know, those are big shoes to fill. And I'm not even saying about James Bond right now. I'm just saying for the title, 007 is supposed to be like the title of the best, from the best of the best.
So you're saying a woman can't be the best?
No, I'm saying that Lashana has to prove that she's the best of the best and best, and her record doesn't show that to me.
Well, in the trailer, she's already like, "I'll shoot you in the knee." She's calling him out. She's alpha dogging him in the small parts we've seen. So who's to say she couldn't? He's old, dude. He's old. He's screwed up a couple times in these movies.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Bond's been caught by everybody in these movies. He's given up how many times? He's quit how many times? And now in this movie, his ex-girlfriend's going to trick him. I mean, sounds like he's losing his edge if you ask me. Someone could easily come in there and do it. Now, sure, we have to see it, but that's my point. Who cares? Let's see her. Maybe she can't. Maybe she's a bad 007, and that makes it an interesting movie. So therefore, yes, it was cool to see her play 007 because she couldn't play 007. Ah.
So You're trying to win the fact that, like, if she could be a bad 007, so she loses the title before the end of the movie. Because
I'm just saying we haven't seen the movie. Why are people freaking out? Why are they freaking out? Because she's a female. She's a black female. Oh my God, he's the best double agent. She hasn't earned the title. Says who? We haven't even seen it yet.
I'm not even making the fact that it should be a gender thing for her. I'm saying she's not even proven to me in that sense. And that's anytime that they brought in a new Bond, I look at their old repertoires of work. And, you know, I have to ask the question, are they really going to represent the new Bond? In this case, they're kicking out Bond, and they're putting him on the sidelines, and they're having a new agent, and that's going to be the main star. It's going to be 00. It's a 007.
So, what's your point? They have 006 with Sean Bean. He didn't mess up the whole franchise. In fact, spoiler alert, he turned out to be a bad guy, right? They made it interesting.
Sean Bean died in the same movie, so like.
But it worked.
That doesn't bode well.
Right, he clearly wasn't as good.
Over 007, he's going to die again.
The people who aren't as good as Bond are going to keep dying, right? And if she's not as good as Bond, she'll die too, and then someone else will get the number. It's just a freaking number. As I said last night, it's like a jersey. It's like Jordan giving Jordan's number getting passed over to LeBron.
Tell me why she should be James Bond, other than the fact that she should get the the opportunity.
Good question.
Tell me why she should.
Because Bond left and gave up, and clearly they decided she's the next one up that's been training. Just because we haven't seen her doesn't mean we don't know she's any good. But I hope and assume.
I'm not talking about the character.
Well, I hope and assume the movie will prove that her character is right. The actress, I got no problem with her. I haven't seen her enough. But if she can kick ass and she's smart, look, it's not about James Bond is not an action movie to me. It's a spy movie. And I didn't hate her in Captain Marvel. She was one of the only parts that was tolerable. If she can dole out the cool charisma and badassery and smarts, yeah, of course she can pull it off. I need to see it, right?
Yeah, and that's a big question mark on that. But like I'll end with this note: it's gonna be no longer Bond. James Bond is gonna be Know Me.
Know me. Know me. Wait, know me? Know me. Time! All right. I mean, that was epic. All right, God, good job, guys. You guys can now get the straw poll out. Steph, if you want to put the first one out. Who won Don versus me? Steph will put that out there in the chat in a second. You guys can come back into your video if you want. Mike and Damien, you guys are going to now judge us based off of those arguments. Damien and Mike, what do you think? Let's start with you, Mike.
Well, I think you both have points. I was on the Don side because I still am. I don't think that if she can be in the James Bond movie, well, she could be a 00, but she shouldn't be 007. And I agreed with what Adon was saying, because when you go to see a Bond movie, you're going to see James Bond. You're not going to see, whoever she's going to play. So I would have to give it to Adon, even though I did think you brought up some good points about,
based on his art, just so we're clear.
I'd like a recount.
Based on the arguments.
I feel like I'm getting a biased, instead of a non-partial judgment.
I just want to. You can't. You just started your judgment because it sounds a little presidential. You just started your judgment with, well, I agree with Adon because I felt this way and I got to go with him. Based on the arguments, Mike. Well, why did you go? Just so people are clear, why did you pick Adon?
I agreed with his argument. I agreed with the fact that 007 is James Bond. If they're trying to shoehorn a new character to replace the legacy character, you really shouldn't do it with a female, or you really even shouldn't do it. I mean, get rid of James Bond and just have her be another 00. I don't mind women in the things. I do agree with you that it is okay that a woman could play this role, but I just don't. If you're going to get rid of 007, I don't think it should be a female. So I agreed with Adon, what Adon said.
Okay, Damien.
Right. I'm going to give you a real unbiased opinion here, okay? Here's the thing. I listened to the points and I listened to the question. And the question was, can she play 007? And the question was never, can she play James Bond? And Adon never addressed fully, except for he had a couple points when he said about, well, it wouldn't be the end of the franchise if she took over the 007. But then Andy retorted with but they could always replace her again with another male. So that was an interesting counterpoint. So I did hear that point. And Adon mentioned the whole at one point about giving her another character or another female role, and then Andy counterpointed with well, what if it was a passing of the torch? And we've seen passing of the torch stories, and so I was like, okay, well, that counters that point. So I'm trying to, it really was punch for punch. In the end, I think, Adon, sorry, dude, you failed to answer the question as to why she couldn't be 007. You actually at one point agreed that she could be.
He did. Thank you for seeing that.
But she wasn't James Bond.
The audience and Mike didn't notice that, but I'm glad you did.
I was hoping that it slipped past you.
The biased part of the audience didn't notice that, but I'm glad at least you said it.
But it was said, it was mentioned, and I was like, ooh. And I cringed slightly for you at that point, trying to see if there was something else. I was trying to see that you almost got Andy to admit to something as well, but I'm not going to point that chip out. So I have to go with Andy.
All right.
Those 3 reasons.
So based off of that, we're gonna, unless Steph, you want to chime in, we can go to the audience poll. Did you have a thought, Steph? I don't want to keep. I don't know if you want to talk.
Yeah, I've got thoughts.
Go ahead.
I'm English. It's canon. James Bond is an English white dude. Don't shoehorn a female in just because it's kind of hip and all equality and all that at the moment. Just make her another 00, not 007. It just doesn't make sense.
There's like 998 other numbers she could be. I mean, it doesn't have to be 007.
Not if it's a double. I guess you could do 0012.
What happened to 001?
Does that work?
No, you can only go up to 009, people. After that, it's 10.
Exactly.
It's 101.
That's what I'm saying. You add another 0? No, you only get. No, there's only 9 numbers.
Lays that trail and get out of the 00. And she could even be like, the first person that's like, 102 or 783 or whatever.
Actually, I think there was a 0012. I think that was Sean Bean's number or something like that.
He was not. No, he was 8. Or he was 6. He was 6. Yeah.
Oh, he was 6. I think there was another 00 that was like 0012, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't work. You messed up. Whoever wrote that messed up the numbering system.
Well, it does. At the end of the day, wait, I did vote. I have to vote here. Yeah, I already did that. Oh, here we go. Okay. I already did 1 vote. It doesn't let you vote twice. At the end of the day, Steph took it over the edge, but the audience agreed. Don goes on to round 2. No, Lashana Lynch shouldn't play 007. Bravo. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I genuinely just don't care. Either way, I'm not enough of a James Bond fan to make this opinion, but there you go. Don, you're finally on the board. You can do this, buddy. Now I'm rooting for you.
Hey, are we fighting the same fight?
Wait, what's the fight?
No, now you will see. Now Damien and Mike are about to go head to head for round 2, which is going to be best Sean Connery movie. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, damn. All right. Now, but to keep things, it's going to be best Sean Connery movie. We ended up going with his more non-Bond stuff. We have 2 movies more recent that we've picked. Let's hear it. So Steph can drop out. Damien and Mike are back up. Damien, Mike, you are going to be fighting best Sean Connery movie. Damien, what did you pick?
I picked The Rock.
Ooh, all right. Mike already rolling his eyes. Mike, what did you pick?
I chose Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Whoo, 2 extremely fun movies, I got to say. I love both of these movies, actually. There's a lot of other good movies, especially classics. He won the Oscar for Untouchables. There's a lot of great Sean Connery performances. I've been trying to make time with the election. I haven't been able to do it as much. Sean Connery really got screwed dying on this election week. Let's be honest, because dude is a legend, and we should be still paying our tributes to him and all the amazing work he did. But I will be. I plan to catch up on a lot of Sean Connery movies. But here we go. 2 great films: The Rock versus Last Crusade. Let's do this. Clock. Who wants to start? You know what? I'm going to see who just starts. Clock starts now.
Well, I picked Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade because I felt he contributed a lot to the character of Indiana Jones. He showed us his upbringing. He showed us who his father was, and they were able to go on an adventure together. He brought some sort of we basically all the character traits that we knew from Indiana Jones, from Raiders and Temple of Doom, we saw reflected in Sean Connery. and I feel he was able to maybe I'm not sure. No, it wasn't his last like action type movie, but he was able to engage in like a action adventure comedy type thing, and he did it with one of the characters that we were already enamored with, because Indiana Jones is one of the iconic characters in movie history, and I felt that he contributed a lot to the movie, because he showed us that the way Indy was, as far as the sternness and all the traits that Indy exhibits, Sean Connery, he got them from Sean, and you could see it. I mean, granted, they're only a couple of years apart. I think maybe like 7 or 8 years apart in age or whatever, but they did look like father and son. And yeah, I thought he was perfect for the role. I mean, I couldn't imagine anybody else playing Indiana Jones's father, even Harrison Ford's father.
Damien, go ahead.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Last Crusade was a great Indiana Jones film, but with the one and Sean Connery's performance is great in a lot of films. But the problem with Indiana Jones and what Sean Connery's character did in that film was it made Indiana Jones weaker and made him softer. And yes, it humanized the whole situation, but it also it was this beginning of an Indiana Jones that we would see later on that was even weaker and softer still. And it was supposed to be the Last Crusade, and it wasn't. So that, unfortunately, the next Indiana Jones film took away from that beautiful Sean Connery film, and now I look at it as the one before the fall. The Rock, on the other hand, and I would actually argue that Indiana Jones, part of the reason why that whole character and Sean Connery's portrayal of that character works is because we're basing it off of Harrison Ford's character in the past. So a lot of his mannerisms were actually mimicking Harrison Ford's mannerisms, so that way they would feel and act like father and son. See, this isn't a character that was 100% Sean Connery. Now you go over to The Rock, on the other hand, and I don't just have one person to look at. I also have Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris and so many others. This is an ensemble cast, and Sean Connery comes out blazing. This is a Sean Connery that we hadn't really seen. We've seen smooth Sean Connery. We've seen King Sean Connery. We've seen all these other versions of Sean Connery. Sean Connery on this one is a badass. We only saw this in Hunt Red October, where he was still more of a commander. Sean Connery was a badass in this one. He has the most quotable lines. He talks about losers, and you know what happens to losers when they go home and contemplate about how they did their best. You know, what do winners do? Huh? They go home and they F the prom queen. Yeah, I mean, this is Sean Connery being a badass. He has moments where he's stern. He flips it. You don't realize that how he's actually, on the wrong side of things. He makes Nicolas Cage. He looks like a father figure to Nicolas Cage. He's got just so many moments in that film that just make you want to go, yo, dude, I could pop this on again. It's Michael Bay when Michael Bay was good. There's a lot of things going on with this film that Sean Connery is known for. In fact, most people even forget the other characters in it. They're like, you mean that Sean Connery and Nick Cage movie? Yeah, The Rock. All day, every day.
Well, if you've seen other George Lucas movies, definitely the ones that he's responsible for, just because an actor comes in to play a relative of an established character or throw in some backstory or whatever, does not mean that actor is guaranteed to inhabit the role and show us the characteristics of the previous character that we've met before, such as, say, Alec Guinness or I don't even want to bring up Hayden. But so the fact that Sean Connery was able to do that with little nuances and not make it seem as if he was mimicking all the stuff we saw from Harrison in Raiders and in Temple of Doom shows that Sean did a really good job acting in this movie. In The Rock, he might have been a badass with some scenes, but in Last Crusade, he was able to be a badass just almost like effortlessly, like when he was on the beach with Harrison, and he had the umbrella, and he was like, pushing and shooting the birds up so it would take out the plane, and then he just walked away and leaving Harrison's mouth like, what did you? He did it without any effort.
You call that a badass, man? I call that,
dude.
First of all, I call that like Nutty Professor. He was
a badass doesn't have to be spouting. A badass doesn't have to be spouting Michael Bay catchphrases. Okay, he just is.
That's it. No, he was just charming in that film. He played a nice he's played a gruff old dad. We've seen that played before. We've seen it in Dennis the Menace. We've seen plenty of older men play gruff old dads who are soft on the inside. We've seen
but also
that guy.
The relationship between.
And by the way, that was Steven Spielberg. That's the reason why that one came out.
The relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, at least fleshing out the Indiana Jones character. Oh, and by the way, you said there was something after. It was like the prelude to whatever. I mean, Last Crusade was the last Indiana Jones movie. They rode off into the sunset. There was no other. But besides that fact, Sean helped humanize Indiana Jones, because at the end he
He
always
slept with his girl. How's that humanizing Indiana Jones? He slept with his
That
girl.
had-
Sean
that had- that
Connery
had-
couldn't even stop being James Bond for a moment.
and that shows you how much
Film.
that shows you how much of a badass Sean Connery is. Did
Oh,
he
no,
sleep
I'm not
with
saying
anybody
Sean-
in The
Sean-
Rock?
Sean-
No.
Sean-
In fact, he
Sean-
had this little lame thing where they took a moment in the middle of an action scene to go visit his daughter, and then we never see her again, and he just
Okay, so you're
disappears.
saying he's a good father
was-
in both films. So he's a good father
that
in both
was-
films. He's just more of a badass in mine. Okay, I get that. No, that's cool.
No. See. So, anyways,
that-
as I was saying, but at the end of Last Crusade, they reach an understanding because he accepts, or he realizes that he was driven because of the love he may or may not have gotten from his father, and that's why he took that stranger's, the fedora, and he was kind of, I feel he was almost kind of idolizing that dude that one of the robbers or whatever that were robbing the thing, because at the end he hands him the hat. He says, you didn't win today, but you don't have to like it. So I feel he was like idolizing that guy more than his father, because his father was so stern and so much into trying to find the grail. But yet when
so
stuff goes down,
here's the thing: is that you're giving me like, I want to call that basic Sean Connery. I'm going to say that that's Sean Connery doing a great job, but he could do that in his sleep. When you're talking about, like, when we talk about some of those other films, like we did talk about like Rising Sun, and we talked about Hunt for Red October. That's Sean Connery like acting and really doing iconic Sean Connery stuff.
Let's call it well-rounded Sean Connery, because he's able to do the badass stuff, and he's also able to convey some heart, some
We've
warmth.
seen that in some of his other films. He's always played warmth in other films, and he's always played the wise older man. Even in bad films like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he was still the wise old man in that one too.
Besides the 1 minute interlude where he meets Claire Forlani, where else did he was able to convey that sort of thing in The Rock, other than badassery?
No, dude, The Rock was about badassery. That's the thing, is that, first of all, he made you think he was a good guy. Then he flipped it on you. Then he showed you that he could be a tender father who actually had a heart. He actually, you know what the thing is? I compare him to like some of those villains and some of those hero.
At no point did I ever think Sean Connery was a bad guy in The Rock. I felt, and especially, dude, after the way the government treated him, I wouldn't have had no problem with him if he just ditched it and decided to go somewhere. But this is about Sean Connery. Sean Connery did his best acting in Last Crusade. He was able to convey sternness. He was able to convey action adventure. He was able to convey heart and soul, and he helped. He was not necessarily like in The Rock. You mentioned Ed Harris. Or you mentioned all these other cast of thousands in there. Nicolas Cage, even Vanessa Marcel. Yeah, exactly. But in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, he was more than a supporting character. In fact, it was Harrison Ford's movie, and it was his movie.
I still say it was more of a Harrison Ford film. He came in as a very good supporting character, not the best Sean Connery film. He wasn't the one that we focused on. We focused on Harrison Ford and the growth of his father. I think that limelight was
in The Rock, he was much more of a supporting character than he was in Last Crusade. It was basically Nicolas Cage is one of his
He made Nicolas Cage. No, he helped. If it wasn't for Sean Connery in that film, Nicolas Cage wouldn't be a blip on anyone's radar.
We got 1 minute. Hurry up. Final thoughts. Go ahead.
Sean Connery has played the gentle old man in other films. I mean, Finding Forrester and whatever the case is, and he's done some other stuff. We've seen that gentler Sean Connery, and it's easy for him. He's a gentleman. He's actually a gentleman an English gentleman, a Scottish gentleman. That's what he is. He didn't play anything different than himself, really, in Last Crusade. In The Rock, he was a badass. He's not that kind of person, but he brought that out, and you really believed his character. He held it throughout the whole time, and he was pivotal in that entire
Mike, final
film.
30s for you.
We have about 10, 15 years of Sean Connery being badass as far as James Bond is concerned. In fact, we just had a question about 007, the role that he inhabited, he brought to life. So it's good to see him having some of those qualities while exhibiting some other ones, and that's called acting. And I feel he did the best of it in The Last Crusade. The Rock was just literally one note. You said he was a badass from begining to end. And that was
I also said he was devious, and I also said he was a father figure. So yeah, no, he had range in that one too.
Whoa, got that in at the end. Didn't let him give you that sick burn there at the end. All right, wow. I got to be honest, that was harder. That was harder. Adon, Steph, come on in here. I'd love to get some of your thoughts. We're going to get the vote out again based on the arguments, that's my catchphrase. I've said it every episode of Movie Fights. We say it on Yin and Yang. Anytime we do these debate shows, it's got to be about the arguments, not about your personal preference. But based off those arguments, Adon, what did you think? Based on Damien's fight for The Rock and Mike's fight for The Last Crusade, a best Sean Connery film.
Okay, so... Wow, this is actually really hard.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Like at first, I was leaning towards Damien.
At first, did you hear that, Damien?
and I swayed back and forth multiple times. I really did. And the reason why I was going with you first was because you actually made some good points. It's like an action film. It's a good film. I had a lot of fun with it, and it shows in that film. And then on Mike's side, you were hitting him hard with a lot of questions and a lot of, bringing up some flaws about his film. But what I didn't get was a lot of stuff reinforcing on your film. You spent a good portion of your time trying to break down the actual Raiders of the Lost Ark, and where I was like, wow, we're talking so much time and taking so much time on this. It's making me think, wow, Damien might actually enjoy Raiders of the Lost Ark because he knows so much more knowledge on this. You weren't reinforcing why The Rock is so much better than Raiders of the Lost Ark rather than chipping it away. So that's where it was flipping me back and forth. Honestly, I like the points at the end, though, where he was saying, as a whole, where you're showing him as an actor and his variety of performances, and he's done a lot of the same thing. This was different. This shows him as an actor. I actually sided with Mike on this.
All right, Steph, what is your thoughts before I share mine?
I have to admit I'm a little bit biased, but to be fair, I thought the stronger argument was in regards to The Rock, because he's more front and center, more badass, more doing something rather than fine like Indiana Jones. He's kind of like sidelined a little bit and wasted. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I got it. So wait, we had 1 for 1, and so it's 1-1. Comes down to me. Well, and it's interesting because the poll is tight. The poll is currently 50-50. Look at that. Look at that. It is literally 50-50 as the votes are coming in. That's intense. All right.
I want to stop voting now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
stop the count. Stop the count. Stop the count. Stop it. It's enough. Stop the count. They did. It's somehow stopped right now. They're waiting for me, the judge. The judge is in. Yeah, it was interesting because you got so hung up on the supporting part. And the reality is Sean Connery is a supporting character in The Rock as well. Someone was in the he's bigger on the poster, but no, it's a Nicolas Cage movie with Sean Connery, just like it's a Harrison Ford movie with Sean Connery. But that even itself out, I really got stuck on who I was trying to just hear on who really gave the best performance, and I gotta say, I just heard a little bit more from Mike. I did. Mike came in a little swinging with some of his examples as to why, and I think Damien just got a little lost on the defense and not as strong enough on the offense as to why it was performance. Is The Rock a great performance? Yes, it's different than what he did, but I do think Last Crusade offers some different range, and just the fact that he slept with Indy's son doesn't make it a less better performance. If anything, that made it a better performance because it was just so crazy that they're all going after the same girl and where Indy gets it from, etc. It is such an iconic role, and I think Mike did a good job there. I got to give it to Mike, and it looks like the poll just did too. So it's a clean cut over across the board. There it is at the very end of the day. The Rock got 12 votes. Last Crusade, 14 votes. That was close. Just one last refresh. Yeah, it looks like Mike got the win. Bravo, Mike. Whew, sorry, Damien, you voted for me, but see, unlike the polling stations, Damien, I gotta be unbiased. No, yeah, good fight. So now me and Damien took out. And Adon and Mike will be going on for the final round. Now, Steph, here's where I need your help as our pollster. What I saw another one went out, but everybody, I think the votes are the exact same in every vote. So we might have to go back to the first one. Do we have a clear winner based off of all the results?
Absolutely. 61% will Tenet be better at home.
Whoo! And what's funny about this poll is neither of them have seen Tenet. So, hey, we're going to have to see how this goes. I know you've seen us talk about it. You know what it's about. I'm going to let you say, so if Mike and Steph can lose their cameras, this final round will Tenet. So, guys, Tenet is dropping on streaming this December. They finally announced. The way Christopher Nolan does not want you to see the film, you'll finally get the opportunity to see it if you didn't want to go to the theaters. So the question now we're going to ask these two gentlemen, could Tenet actually be better at home? Even though Christopher Nolan wanted you to see it in the theaters, could it actually be better at home? So Damien, or I'm sorry, Mike, put your camera back on. I don't see you there.
Yeah, you said stop it.
Oh, sorry, no, just you, no, just the other two. Mike and Adon are back. All right, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1 on one. You're going to tell me a yes or no. You're going to both say.
What was the question again?
Just say yes or no, and then what was it? So the question is going to be: will Tenet be better watched at home than it was in theaters? Someone's gonna have to go against it if you don't feel it, but I'm gonna just to see who answers first on the yes or no. You'll have 3 on 1. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
No.
I heard Adon first.
Oh, yes.
Heard Adon first. You got it in there. That's how I don't know how else to do it. So Adon, you'll be fighting that no, it will not be better at home. Mike will be offering it will be better at home. Should we make this interesting, Damien?
What's up?
They can tag a friend. How's that? Should we make it interesting?
Sure.
They haven't seen the film. If either of you would like to tag a friend, we will come in and help you. I can fight that it will not. So I will happily come in for 30 seconds and offer an opinion. I don't know. That means Steph will have to judge and the audience will have to judge if I come in and fight. If you use your phone a friend. And then Adon, do you want to call in a Damien for help potentially? Or if you don't have to. But do you guys want to? We'll try that if you need it. Since you didn't see the film, because Damien and I saw the film, is why I'm offering to help you quickly. But if you need it, activate it. Maybe they'll judge you less or judge you more. But I will offer you that call a friend if you need it for 10 seconds. We will come in and help you. And you can either use our argument or not. Ready for the timer to come up? Yeah, I like that. We'll come in and advise you on a thought, and then you can either take it or not. The time is going to start. 10 minutes is on the clock. You guys all see that. Here we go. Let's start another Nerd War. Round 3. Will Tenet be better at home? Go.
But, Mike, you want to go first?
Might as well. I feel that Tenet will be better at home for 2 simple, solitary reasons. One is a matter of health, and the other is a matter of sanity. The first one is that you will not have to take a chance on risking your life on catching Bud Light out on the public, with potentially diseased seats and circulating air and popcorn and all that other stuff. And the second one is that you'll be able to try to understand the third act of the movie, which, despite me not having seen it, I have heard is completely kind of almost incomprehensible. So you'll be able to rewind it to go back to the early and try to piece it together, like what was it from JFK back into the left back. You go back and then try to decipher exactly what Nolan is trying to do in the third act. So by those 2 things a lot, I think you'll be saving money and your life. So I think it would be it was probably a better movie to see at home too, because again, I mean, since there's an absence of a character that can explain, that Nolan can explain the things that are going on in the movie too. A lot of people, and I believe Andy, you were one of them, were confused by and perplexed by the third act. So being able to have access to rewind and see it again will make all the difference in the world, in the safety of your Bud Light free home.
Okay, so look at this. Already coming in with the fear mongering. Let's be honest. We don't need to bring that out in here. We already know that people can go to the theaters, and if they're responsible and they're smart, they're fine. Matter of fact, our lovely host is right here. He's actually been there and he's watched it and he survived and came back to watch the movie. And actually, a couple times, I think, right? Anyways, the fact of the matter is, this is an epic film. This is a film that, you're going to watch and you're going to see a lot of epicness on the theaters and the big screens. It's not the same kind of feeling. There's so many times I've watched a movie in home, and yes, you can rewind, but the same thing is you don't get that sensation. You don't get that feeling that you get when you watch it in theaters. That's a unique sensation, and that deserves to be the Tenet. Tenet needs to have that film on the big screen. You can get that sensation. And matter of fact, let's play into that fear mongering a little. You'll have more space in the theater now. You'll have the ability to sit there, get your space, put up your feet.
That doesn't mean that the theater would be kept up, because there might be some people who don't actually take the safety and the regulations into accordance. I mean, you might want to, oh, you know what, I'm done, I'm sweeping this floor. Maybe I won't wipe off the seats, and maybe, the circulating air won't be like, recirculated or whatever, for some fresh air. But most importantly, fear mongering aside and the Bud Light aside, the most important thing I think would be understanding the film. And
you know what?
You were, by all reports,
you're going to talk about understanding the film. I don't play my audience short. I'm confident in my people that are going to be watching this. Granted, the only amount of people that have watched is a small percentage. The greater percentage have not watched this film, and I'm confident the larger percentage will follow through it. The audience of Popcorn Planet is not a small audience, and they're not a dumb audience. They are very intelligent.
I agree. So when somebody like Andy says that the third act is kind of incomprehensible, it's kind of confusing. That kind of worries me, because I look up to his reviews and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I agree with that, or I can understand what he's saying. If he's telling me that you can't figure out exactly what's going on, it's just the total, whatever happens with time going forward and backward and all that stuff, I feel that it would be easier to decipher that stuff, to understand that stuff in the comfort of your home as you're rewinding and going back to certain moments and then coming forward. And then, or maybe you might want to do a double viewing. You might want to watch it and then watch it again to see exactly what happens. Because I know, at least in my store, I've had people coming in saying that there were polls taken about spoilers, and people apparently like spoilers because they say it lets them know what they could look out for when they're watching the movie. To me, that's just called watching the movie, because you should be watching the movie and then you'll be able to see the things. But when you're sitting there and after 2.5, almost, I think 3 hours of watching this movie, why do it in a movie theater when you're going to be like, what the hell did I just watch? When in the comfort of your home, without leaving your home, you can say, hey, you know what? Let's watch it again and take it apart.
See, and that's another thing. That's where, if you're at home, you don't have that same kind of focus as you're in the theaters. When you get in the theaters, you put your phone down, you put it on mute, you step away from everything. You're at home, you may be surrounded by your kids, you got your dog going off, you got something
that might be a millennial problem, because if you're going to watch a movie, what you need to do is you need to turn your phone off, you need to throw the kid in the basement, and then you need to sit down and shut the blinds, cut off the phone, cut off any distractions, and watch the movie. Or you know what you do? You save it for a time when the kid's in bed and you're not going to be getting any phone calls and nobody's going to be bothering you about voting and all this other nonsense. There and watch it and veg. That's it. Because some movies do require you to focus, and I know in this day and age it's very hard for people to do that, because it's like all ADHD, that stuff where they can't focus on things.
It's not with the Nolan movie doing that. Like when you're at home, you could you have a smaller screen. Unless you pay to have a bigger screen with a big sound system, you're not going to be as immersive. You're going to have those people who are going to like watch it on their phone. You're going to still miss out
unless
on the experience.
Unless you're a millennial sitting on your phone watching Tenet that way. You will be watching your phone on a system. Most people that are Christopher Nolan fans are fans of cinema, so they will probably more definitely have a nice setup with Dolby HD. Well, unfortunately, in this day and age right now, it's not necessarily potentially the safest thing to do, because like you said, you take precaution, you wear a mask and all that, but that doesn't mean anybody else is going to do that. So you can only be responsible for your own safety. You can't dictate what other people are going to do. And while that might sound like fear mongering, is this movie, seeing this movie in the cinema, really worth taking that chance for?
Listen,
because you know what, if the option is between going there and watching it at home and knowing that I'm safe and I'm secure in my place,
home is not necessarily that safe. The most accidents that ever happen in life is in the kitchen. I could die just going to get me some popcorn, getting ready to watch the movie, when I could have been at the theater, waiting for my popcorn and living another day.
The bottom line is, I think the movie was released.
Have you not seen Final Destination? It happens.
Unlike Bill and Ted and unlike Borat, The movie was released in movie theaters. So the people that were able to see it or wanted to see it in the movie theaters, they did go and see it. And it was only about what, $30 million, $60 million it made or whatever. So now that it's going to be released on home video, I guarantee it'll be better to watch it there, and it'll do more because people will be able to see it because they were unsure, because at the time we didn't have anybody leading us that can give us actual factual, scientific reasons or ways to, be safe and all that stuff. But now that we'll be able to watch it at home, we'll be able to see what everybody, those $30 million worth or $60 million worth or whatever people saw it and say, wow, that was very confusing. Hey, let's watch it again because we can do that.
I'm going to tap in my lifeline.
Damien?
Right, listen, here's the thing. Is that right now you're talking about whether or not it's safe or not. That's irrelevant. Whether or not the experience will be better at home or in the theaters is what we're talking about. Infinity War, Lord of the Rings, just name any of these films. Hell, even Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. Those are films that were made for the big screen. Tenet was made for the big screen, and that's where the experience is going to come from, especially for anyone here who
10
actually
seconds.
likes film. That's where they have it. The other thing is, how many films
5,
like Annihilation, Mother, all those
4,
other films that you watch and they confuse you, and then you
3,
go back to the theater to see it
2,
again. It's not the first time a
1.
film
All
has
right.
a third confusing
Damien, you're
act.
done.
I saw Annihilation in on Netflix, and I was able to, after not understanding it, rewatch it again immediately after I was watching it because I felt it was that good of a movie, and I did want to understand it. So you're not going to have that luxury if you go see that movie in the movie theater. And Andy,
Yes,
you can
but you're also
tag
not
in for
going to
30
have
seconds.
the luxury
Okay,
of seeing
he
like
tagged
the
me
greatness
in.
of the movie.
Yeah, don't forget subtitles. You will not get those in the movie theater. Half of the movie you can't even understand. And so watching this movie at home on a good system, which is what most people are going to do, which Mike has been handling quite well, I got to be honest, you will see and understand it better, and it'll actually be more entertaining. I saw it in theaters, and you didn't need to see it in theaters. I missed half the movie seeing it in theaters due to his shitty sound mix.
Hold on, was that the... Oh, sorry.
I tapped out. Now
was,
you back.
oh, you tapped out. Okay.
That was his time.
So
Final thoughts, 45
final
seconds.
thoughts.
So in the end, regardless, Bud Light or whatever, I feel that watching it at home would enhance the movie both visually and or comprehensively and audio wise, sonically. There we go. Sonically.
In the end, the movie is meant to be seen big screen. You're meant to experience a tale, a fantastic tale that's supposed to take you away from what you're dealing with at home. You're not
And the movie
supposed
will
to
be the same movie that you will see at home. It
No,
won't even
and,
change.
and that's the point
it'll be
I'm
the same
trying
thing.
to say here. You won't get the same experience at home as you do in the theaters. You get a different experience as a whole, and that's what we want to see.
You will get
We want different
whatever
experience.
effort you put into the movie watching it. That's what you'll get at home.
Bam! All right. Well, we're now biased, so Damien and I can't chime in, but I would have probably leaned into my voter anyway, and it sounds like Damien, you probably would have voted for Don anyway. So there we go. We evened our votes out anyway. But Steph, now come back in if you want, and let's hear your thoughts, and let's get the poll out. She just put the poll out, fellas and ladies. Go and click over that. But Steph, based on the arguments. First of all, just before we can get there, I thought they both did a pretty good job for not seeing the movie. Surprise.
And for the record, I don't like Christopher Nolan at all.
Wow.
Not one bit.
Well, yeah, good for you. Steph, what do you think?
Well, I felt on one hand, the argument was quite sound in terms of the practicalities of watching it from home, being able to rewind if there's certain things that you can't hear or understand, the sound mixing, all that lot that can be a bit more confusing if you're watching it in the cinema. But I also get, the other side of the argument, which is some films are made for the big screen. I mean, I remember going to the IMAX to see The Dark Knight. Oh my goodness, was that film made for the sodding IMAX screen. It was absolutely amazing. So I can see that point as well for the film Tenet. With that being said, though, what kind of lost me when Dan used his tagging was when it was said, no, throw safety out of the window. Damien.
I did not say throw safety out the window.
How did you term it then? Because maybe I misunderstood.
No, I said, throw the COVID factor out the window. And if you were just deciding on whether or not you wanted to see the movie in the big screen or at home, that's why I was saying that it was meant for being experienced on the big screen. Not
The
safety.
thing is, though, you can't. Well, no, I think COVID. I think safety in a way, but you can't really throw COVID out of the window in that respect because I'm sorry, it is an aspect at the moment that needs to be considered if someone actually wants to go to the cinema or not. With that being said, though, then on the other side of the argument, you very, very good in terms of the practicalities of watching it at home. But you didn't really come across how the experience at home would be better than in the cinema.
So you give your vote to.
Ultimately,
It's hard.
I
It's
give my
tough,
vote
isn't it?
to-
Come on, Steph. You can say it. This is tough.
I'd vote yes. It'd be watched better at home.
Ooh, there it is. Nolan hates you. Nolan's like, who is this Brit? Get her out of here. This English girl. Oh, how dare she? All right, hold on. Wait, do I have the poll? Let me see what the votes. You guys have been voting based on the arguments, which they don't do. They never do. Will it be voted better
I've
at
just
home?
put it again in the chat.
Will it be better at home? And the polls say yes. Yes, it will be. And there we go. The no is going down. The no's are going down. The yes is going up. I got to concur. But look, if I take out even my things, I just thought Mike did a great job bringing in the safety. Like, whether you agree with it or not, based on the arguments, the safety was such a smart way to start it. Plus, you had me when you just throw your kids in the basement. Totally. And watching the system, not a phone. You combine that. Don made a good argument with and he's right. You will get distracted watching this movie at home because you're going to go on your phone. When you're at home watching, it's because Tenet's not that good. I promise a lot of people are going to watch Tenet and go, cool. Did I miss anything? Oh, wait, what? And you are totally going to, it's a type of movie that I could sense a lot of regular moviegoers are like, and they'll tune in.
Well, see, but that's why I said you get what you put into it.
Correct.
So
You did. You got that. But so you answered that right. Yes, it's how Nolan. It's more immersive experience. But I think Mike did sell the overall experience. So Mike, you got the poll. You got a win. You Don again. Damn it! I was rooting for you. I know it's been now
it was an
3.
uphill battle. I thought I could
You'll
pull
get
it.
one. You'll get one. But Mike on the board, 1-1. First show, first win. Bravo. Dun dun dun.
Oh, for the record, I think you should see Tenet. I actually almost. I haven't been to a movie theater since New Mutants or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I think I might go see Tenet, even though I really didn't want to. But the movie should be seen in a movie theater.
Yeah, look, it's fine. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, no, neither. I felt safe when I went.
It's okay as a movie. I enjoyed it in the theater, but did I need to see it in the theater? No. But the only thing you guys missed, and I would have given a Don the point, which Damien, I don't know what you got lost there, but the point a Don missed was you are saving cinema. You could have hit that a lot more harder. By not going to the theaters, you are destroying the cinemas, and I didn't hear that. If you had said that, it could have tipped me over a bit.
But didn't they say they were doing a thing where they would get a percentage, or they would give a percentage of the
Universal
profits
did. A lot of others aren't, but yeah. We'll see. Universal, who the theater's banned, is the only studio dropping movies out in the next few months with Freaky and whatever, and Crudes. They're actually going to drop movies in theaters. We'll see. But Mike, you won. You get to plug. Final plug, quickly. Go ahead.
I'm on all social medias, so you can go to roguecomics.online and just find them all there. Facebook, Instagram. I'm even on YouTube, but I used to do a YouTube video where I would show what was coming out. So if you're a comic book fan, I mean, you can see that there. But that's about it.
Go do it. Rogue Comics. There he is. Go follow him on Twitter. Go give him a plug. He earned it. Bravo. Everybody else here on the show, I'll give you quick plugs as well because I love you. Damien Alpazar, go check him out on the other side. The link is in my description. If you become a member, you can see a short film, which got funded. We're going to talk about it here as we continue to go do the stream. We're not leaving. So we'll talk about it. But Damien, thanks for coming. Don over at Nerd Tots. Go over to YouTube and check out Nerd Tots to watch him play D&D. He's doing anime reviews, other stuff. So check out Nerd Tots and go show him some love. And Steph over at Planet of the Nerds. They just crossed the 200 subscriber mark. Go throw them a few more subscribers and go watch all the awesome stuff Steph does. And over at Movie World when she watches stuff for the first time. So much places you can find her. And as always, subscribe here if you haven't already. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is just the end screen because I'm going to clip it. You should watch the show live on Thursdays. And you should become a member because then you'll get the members only exclusive afterwards. Don't go anywhere, live viewers. Ooh.